am Byron, 62 years old. After a lifetime in construction, the biggest shock I ever got did not come from a job site, but from the very house I bought for my son. Today is the housewarming. I am standing amidst the laughter and the lights, not knowing that within an hour my life will be pushed out the very door I chose. Why? Let me tell you. Before we begin, I am curious to know where you are listening to this story from. A city apartment or a house in the suburbs? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories about family life and the lessons you never see coming, please hit that subscribe button. It truly helps me to keep sharing. Let me tell you about myself. My name is Byron. For 40 years I was a builder. Not a fancy architect, not a developer. I was the guy who showed up at dawn with a thermos of coffee, whose hands knew the grain of good wood and the bite of a cold sore in winter. I built rooms where families would grow patios, where memories would be grilled into existence. It was honest work. It left me with a bad knee and a good pension, and a profound understanding that the most important parts of a house are the ones you never see, the foundation, the framing, the integrity of the joints. 8 years ago I lost my anchor. My wife, Eleanor, passed after a long fight. The house we raised our son in felt too big, too quiet. The silence had a different texture. It wasn't peaceful. It was empty. My whole world narrowed down to one person, my son, Trevor. Trevor was my everything, my reason for pushing through the grief. He is 32, handsome, with his mother's easy smile. He works in tech sales. I never quite understood what he sold, but I was so proud of the man he became. After Eleanor was gone, we clung to each other. I helped him fix his first car, co-signed on his dingy apartment lease, listened to his work dramas over Sunday dinners I cooked just for us. Then came Ainsley. Ainsley is Trevor's wife. 30 years old, sharp as a tack, with a career built entirely on her phone. She is what they call an influencer. Her life is a series of perfectly composed pictures. She is not a bad person, not at first. Just different. Her world is about aesthetics, about perception, about the right brand of almond milk, and the perfect angle of sunlight on a white marble countertop. I tried. I really did. She called me Pops Byron, which always felt like a costume I was wearing. The trouble started with their apartment. They called it a shoebox. Ainsley's Instagram followers, she said, expected a certain lifestyle. They wanted to start a family, and there was no room. Trevor would sigh on the phone, heavy with the stress. I recognized the stress of a man who feels he cannot provide. So one evening over a meatloaf I made from Eleanor's recipe, I laid out my idea. My big, beautiful, stupid idea. I had the money. The sale of my small contracting business. My savings a nest egg I'd been feathering since I was 20. Let me buy a house, I said. A proper house. Big enough for all of us. You pick it. I will put down the cash. We will live together. I will take the in-law suite help with the bills cook, and one day spoil my grandchildren rotten. I want to be part of the family. I want to have a home again. Trevor's eyes lit up with pure relief. Dad, are you sure that would be incredible? Our own home. He said our. He said home. My heart felt so full it ached. Ainsley was more calculated. She tilted her head, a slow smile spreading. A house. A real house. In a good zip code. The content potential is huge. Then she reached over and patted my hand. That is so generous, Pops Byron. We spent weekends driving through neighborhoods. I was the expert, so I led the charge. I would knock on walls, check for dampness in basements, peer at roof lines. Trevor followed along, eager. Ainsley commented on curb appeal and natural light for filming. We found it on Maple Avenue, a craftsman-style home, beautiful and solid. Real oak floors, built-in bookshelves, a porch that wrapped around like an invitation. It needed some love, but the bones were sound. I saw a future there. I saw Christmases. I saw a tire swing in the old oak tree out back. "This is the one," I said, my voice thick. The down payment was almost my entire liquid savings. The lawyer asked about the title. I waved my hand. "Put it in the kids' names," I said. "It's their future. I am just helping it along." It was an act of ultimate trust, a gesture of love so complete I never thought to protect myself from it. Why would I? This was my son. The day we closed, Trevor hugged me tight. "This is our house, Dad. Thank you." I believed him. I packed up my life, sold the old place, and put my favorite leather armchair in the back of my pickup truck, headed for my new beginning. Moving day was a blur of boxes and hope. I was the first one there, eager as a kid. I chose the bedroom on the first floor off the kitchen. It was smaller, but it had its own door to the backyard. "I will put in a little herb garden right out here," I told the empty room, "and I will not be underfoot." I unpacked my tools last, setting them carefully in a corner of the garage. They were my identity. My plane, my chisels, my level. Trevor saw me and laughed. "You are not going to be working, Dad. You are retired. This is your time to relax." But relaxing, I quickly learned, was not part of Ainsley's vision. The changes were subtle at first. My comfortable old recliner, the one Eleanor bought me, was temporarily relocated to my bedroom because it clashed with the mid-century modern aesthetic. The framed family photos I brought, candid shots of Trevor as a boy, of Eleanor laughing, were deemed too dated for the main living area. They ended up on my dresser. Ainsley began redecorating with a military precision. Swatches of fabric paint samples with names like Ghost White and Urban Shadow. Conversations were no longer about what we liked, but about what worked for the brand. Our first family dinner in the new house, I cooked a pot roast, my specialty. The table was set beautifully. Ainsley took pictures of the food from 5 different angles before we could eat. Then she picked at a small salad. "I am doing a cleanse," she said. "And Pops Byron, for future reference, we are mostly plant-based now. For the environment, you know." Trevor just nodded along, shoveling in the roast, but avoiding my eyes. "It is delicious, Dad," he mumbled. "But Ainsley has a point about the carbon footprint." I felt like a ghost in my own home. A friendly, slightly inconvenient ghost. I tried to help. I noticed the back gate was sagging. I got my tools and started fixing it. I was not 10 minutes in when Ainsley appeared. "Oh, I have a handyman scheduled for next week to deal with all that. He is a professional. I would not want you to strain yourself." "I am a professional," I wanted to say, but I just nodded and put my tools away. The final straw was the garden. I had started turning a small patch of soil by the back porch for my herbs. One afternoon, I came home to find it completely dug up. A team of landscapers was installing a geometric succulent arrangement. Ainsley beamed. "Is it not incredible it is so low maintenance and photogenic?" That night, I lay in my small bed, listening to the murmur of their voices and laughter from the living room upstairs. It was a sound that should have warmed me. Instead, it made me feel miles away. I stared at the ceiling and wondered if I was just being a sensitive old man, unable to adapt. The doubt was a cold seed in my gut. The housewarming party was Ainsley's grand unveiling. For 2 weeks, the house was a frenzy of preparation. I was given a list. It was not a request. It was an assignment. Pick up the custom charcuterie boards. Ensure the garage was spotless for extra parking. Stay out of the kitchen on the day of, as a professional chef would be using it. I felt like staff. I tried to talk to Trevor. I caught him alone in the home office, a room I had not been invited into since they furnished it. "Son," I said, keeping my voice low, "I feel like I am in the way here. Is this still working?" Trevor ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of stress I knew well. "Dad, come on. Do not be dramatic. This is just how Ainsley is. She is building something here. A lifestyle. We just need you to adapt a little. Go with the flow." The word adapt felt like a door closing. Then I heard it. I was fetching a screwdriver from the garage when Ainsley's voice, sharp and clear, carried out from the kitchen patio door. She was on the phone. "Oh yes, totally our forever home. We saved for ages, a labor of love. What, oh, him? That is just Pops, a relative staying with us for a bit. He is harmless." The world tilted. A relative staying for a bit? I leaned against the rough wood of a shelving unit, the same wood I had inspected for dry rot before we bought the place. The trust I had felt began to crack a hairline fracture right down the middle. The night of the party arrived. The house was transformed. It looked like a magazine spread. People arrived in clusters. Young, beautiful, chattering people holding glasses of wine that cost more than my weekly grocery bill. I wore my best sport coat. I tried to mingle. Ainsley expertly steered guests away from me, her laughter a bright, tinkling barrier. I saw Trevor across the room holding court the successful homeowner. He never once looked my way. I ended up outside on the far edge of the deck, holding a glass of sparkling water, watching the party through the large French doors. I was a spectator in my own life. The cold seed of doubt had grown into a heavy, sickening weight. This was not my home. I had financed a stage set, and I was not even a player in the production. I was part of the stage crew expected to remain unseen in the wings. It was an older gentleman who unknowingly triggered the end. He had wandered away from the main crowd, admiring the built-in bookshelves in the hallway. He saw me standing there looking, I am sure, like a misplaced piece of furniture. "Fine craftsmanship," he said, nodding at the shelves. "You do not see joints like that anymore." Something in me stirred. The builder in me woke up. "Douglas fir," I said, my voice finding a strength it had not had in weeks. "Quarter sawn. See the vertical grain and the mortise and tenon joinery here. They do not build them like this now. This house was made to last 100 years. His eyes lit up with genuine interest. We talked for 10 minutes about wood species, about foundation settling, about the history of craftsman homes. For a moment I was Byron the builder again, not Pops the ghost. I did not see Ainsley approach. She materialized beside us, her smile so tight it looked painful. "Mr. Hendricks. There you are. We were wondering where you got to." She linked her arm through his, pulling him gently but firmly away. She shot me a look that could have frozen hell. "Pops, could you find Trevor? We need you for a moment in the study." The study. It was not a request. The party noise faded as I followed her. Trevor was already inside, pacing. He looked pale. Ainsley closed the door, and the sound of the party became a dull, mocking hum. "Byron," she began, dropping the Pops entirely. Her voice was all business. "We need to have an honest talk. This arrangement is not working. You are disrupting the flow of the household. You embarrassed me in front of a very important contact. I stared at her, then at my son. Embarrassed you by talking about the house. By being... You, she said, her composure cracking. The tool belt, the old man's stories about wood. This is not that kind of house we have an image to maintain, Trevor. Trevor would not meet my eyes. He stared at a spot on the rug. Dad, she is right. Maybe this was not the best idea. You have done your part. You helped us get this house. But now, maybe it is time you found a place more suited to your stage of life. An active senior community, maybe. Somewhere with people your own age. The words landed like physical blows. I felt the air leave my lungs. My stage of life, Trevor, look at me. This is my house. I paid for it. Ainsley stepped forward, her voice cold and final. On paper, it is not. And this is our home. We need you to leave. Tonight. We have already arranged for a service to pack your room tomorrow. You can stay in a hotel. I looked at my son, my boy. I searched his face for any sign of the child I taught to throw a baseball, for any flicker of remorse. There was nothing. Just discomfort and a desperate desire for me to disappear. A dignity I did not know I still possessed straightened my spine. I said nothing. I turned, walked out of the study through the crowded living room, where people laughed and drank my champagne. I went to my room, the small one, by the back door. I took my old duffel bag. I put in my wallet, my late wife's photograph, my father's pocket watch, and a change of clothes. Nothing else belonged to me. I walked out the back door into the cool night and did not look back. I got into my old Ford pickup and drove. I parked a few blocks away under a streetlight and finally let the tremor take over my hands. In the distance, I could see the golden glow of the windows of the house on Maple Avenue. The party was still going strong. For 7 days, I lived in a motel off the interstate. The kind of place where the carpet smells of stale smoke and regret. I did not shave. I barely ate. I called Trevor 3 times. He sent a text, "Please, Dad, give us space. We will talk when things are calmer." The we no longer included me. My savings were crippled by the house purchase. The motel was draining what little cash I had left. I was 62 homeless and felt utterly obsolete. The despair was a black, suffocating tide. I sat on the edge of the scratchy bed, holding the photograph of Eleanor. "I messed up, Ellie," I whispered. "I gave it all away." But somewhere deep beneath the pain, a spark ignited. A stubborn builder's spark. I had faced bankruptcy's material shortages, broken bones. I had never been completely defeated. I would not start now. I picked up my phone. I scrolled past Trevor's name and found the one I needed. Marcus. My old friend, my former foreman who left construction to buy a struggling diner. He answered on the second ring. "Byron, you are a voice from the past. What is up?" I did not cry. I did not explain. My voice was gravel, but it was steady. "Marcus, I need a favor. I need a place to sleep and a job, any job, sweeping floors, washing dishes, anything." There was a pause on the line. Marcus was a man of few words and deep loyalty. "Got a room above the diner. It is small. Door is unlocked. Be here in an hour." That room was my salvation. It was just a space with a cot and a sink, but it was clean. Marcus asked no questions. He just put me to work. The diner's back porch was rotting. "Think you can handle that?" he asked. For the first time in months, my hands felt right. The familiar weight of the hammer, the smell of sawdust. It was meditation. I worked from dawn until my bad knee screamed, losing myself in the simple, solvable problem of replacing rotten boards. One evening, over a plate of meatloaf that was not as good as mine, I told him everything. The house, the money, the party, the door closing behind me. Marcus listened, chewing slowly. When I finished, he nodded. "They took the house, Byron," he said, his voice quiet. "Do not let them take the rest. Do not let them take what you are." His words were a lifeline. The next day, while picking up supplies at the hardware store, I saw an elderly woman struggling with a bag of potting soil in the parking lot. Her car door was open, and a set of rickety wooden steps led to her front porch. I walked over. "Let me get that for you, ma'am." Her name was Sylvia Alvarez. She was a retired school teacher living alone in a quaint, slightly shabby cottage a few blocks from the diner. The step I had noticed was indeed loose. "I have been calling handymen for weeks," she sighed. "They either do not show up or quote me a price that would make my pension blush." I looked at the step. A simple fix. "I can take care of that for you," I heard myself say. "No charge. Just point me to your tools." An hour later, the step was solid. She insisted on paying me with lunch, a delicious chicken soup and crusty bread. We talked. She was witty, kind, and alone. As I left, she gestured to her gutters. "I suppose those are next on the list if you know anyone." A thought, fragile and new, began to form in my mind. Word of mouth is a powerful thing, especially among a community of older folks who have been ghosted by overpriced, unreliable contractors. Sylvia told her friend Bernard, whose garage door was off its track. Bernard told his bridge partner Helen, who needed a toilet flapper replaced. I did not plan it. It just happened. I fixed things. I charged barely enough to cover materials, or sometimes just accepted a pie, a thank you card, a promise to have me over for dinner. Marcus let me use a corner of the diner's parking lot as a base of operations. I made a simple sign, "Byron's Helping Hand, small repairs, fair prices." It was not about the money. It was about the work. The tangible, honest work of making something broken whole again. It was about the look of relief on Sylvia's face, the firm handshake from Bernard. I was rebuilding my sense of purpose, one leaky faucet, one squeaky hinge at a time. I rented a small, clean room from Sylvia. It had a window that looked out on her garden. It was not Maple Avenue, but it was peaceful. I had a community. I was Byron again. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. I was on Sylvia's roof, clearing out her clogged gutters. The sun was warm on my back. I saw the name on the screen. Trevor. My first instinct was to let it go to voicemail. The peace I had found felt fragile. But I answered. "Dad!" His voice was frantic, high-pitched, a sound I had never heard from him before. It was not the voice of my composed tech sales son. It was the voice of a panicked child. "Dad, you have to help. It is the house. There is a huge leak in the roof. The ceiling in the living room is sagging. There is water everywhere." I called a roofing company. They said it is a major repair. They are talking $50,000. "Dad, I do not have that." Ainsley is hysterical. "What do I do?" There was a long silence. I looked out over Sylvia's tidy backyard at the vegetable garden we had started together. I listened to the fear in his voice, and I felt nothing. No anger, no schadenfreude. Just a profound, weary calm. "Trevor," I said, my voice steady and quiet, cutting through his panic. "I am sorry, who is this?" "Oh, Trevor. You are calling about the property on 124 Maple Avenue." I used the word property, not home. "Yes, Dad, please. I am familiar with that property." I continued as if speaking to a client. I noted a potential vulnerability in the valley flashing on the original inspection. I mentioned it, but it may have been overlooked. My current schedule is quite busy. My service rate is $100 per hour, with a 4-hour minimum for assessment. Materials and labor would be additional. If those terms are acceptable, I could possibly schedule a site visit for, let me see, next Thursday. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then a sputter. $100 and... Dad, this is me. This is your son. This is an emergency. Trevor, I said, my tone final. This is a business, not a family matter. Our family matter ended the night you asked me to leave. Send your address to my email. I will have a service agreement sent over. Have a good day. I ended the call. I did not feel powerful. I felt sad. But I also felt a solid, unshakable certainty. I had built a new foundation for myself, and it was not on Maple Avenue. A few hours later, an email arrived from Trevor, full of pleading and panic. I responded with a formal, itemized estimate for the roof repair. A fair market price, not a penny more, not a penny less. It was a significant sum. At the bottom I wrote, "Given the scale of this investment, you may wish to consider if the property is still the right fit for your long-term financial picture. A sale might be a more prudent course of action." He called back, angry now, calling me heartless, vindictive. I listened for a moment. "Trevor," I said softly, "I am not being vindictive. I am teaching you the lesson I failed to teach you before. Everything has value, and everything has its price. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional naivety. Healing is not a straight line. It is more like sanding a rough piece of wood. You go with the grain you apply. Steady pressure, and slowly the splinters smooth away. I never fixed the roof on Maple Avenue. Trevor and Ainsley, unable to afford the repair and drowning in the mortgage for a lifestyle they could not sustain, were forced to sell the house quickly, likely at a loss. I do not know for sure. I have not spoken to Trevor since that last call. That chapter for now is closed. It is a pain I carry, but it no longer defines me. Byron's helping hand grew. I hired a young kid, Leo, who wanted to learn a trade. Teaching him gave me a new kind of joy. Sylvia is more than a landlady. She is a dear friend. We have dinner together most nights. Marcus's diner is thriving, and I eat there every morning, my coffee refilled without asking. I found my father's old leather armchair in Marcus's storage. It sits by the window in my room at Sylvia's. In the evening I sit in it, look at the garden, and feel a peace I never found in that beautiful hollow house. The lesson I learned is this: we build our lives like we build houses. Sometimes we pour everything we have into a foundation for someone else, only to find they have built a structure that has no room for us. But a good builder knows that no material is ever truly wasted. You can salvage, you can repurpose, you can start again with better plans, stronger materials, and the hard-earned wisdom of what makes a space truly livable. True wealth is not in the crown molding or the fancy address. It is in the quiet moment at the end of the day when you put your tools away and know you have been useful. It is in the warmth of a shared meal with people who see you, not your utility. I lost a house to find a home, and in losing a son, I may have finally found my way back to myself. What about you? Have you ever built something for someone only to find yourself locked out of it? What did that experience teach you about your own foundation? Share your story in the comments below. I read everyone. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like. It lets me know I am not just talking to the walls. And if you want to hear more real stories about starting over, finding strength and the quiet victories of everyday life, hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this community. And remember, no matter what door closes behind you, there is always a way to build a new one. Take care.